last time we didn't really get no introduction on yourself, so we're gonna do a little bit different this time instead of just jumping right into it. So we're gonna get into
Okay.
you hit it?
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Space City Rottweilers podcast. I am your captain, your host, Mr. Corey, and today's guest is back again. Want to tell y'all, anytime that y'all hear that this brother is on, just know that y'all getting some good game. Got my man David from A9 Rottweilers back on. What's up with it, Dave?
What's going on, baby? How you doing, man?
All right, man. How you living? How you making it out with the COVID?
Hey, man, listen, I'm staying quarantined myself, my family and I. We're staying quarantined, doing our thing. Just going out for necessities and whatnot. Now you got this potential hurricane coming through, which is not a big deal, at least in terms of category right now for us. I was just telling another friend of mine that we're used to those category 3 and 4s out here. So when we hear ones or tropical storms, it's like, all right, that's just another day in the park for us, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, man. That's that Florida living, man. Florida.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how long you been living in Florida?
Actually, been in Florida for 8 years now, man. I was originally born and raised in New Jersey, living in Irvington, Newark area, Orange. Those are the areas I grew up in Jersey. Then we moved out. When I joined the military, moved to Connecticut. I was out there for about 12 years. Became a state police officer out there and a correctional officer. Correctional officer first, then I became a state police officer. And then we wind up, 2012. I was on the department for about 7 years. 7 going on 8 years with the department, or with the state, rather, I should say. And then we moved out here to Florida, man. We got tired of that snow and all that cold, man. And plus I've always been to Florida a lot. I got a ton of family out here, so practically grew up out here every summer. So it was somewhat of an obvious choice for us when we got tired of the northern weather.
So your wife from up north too? Or?
Oh yeah. She was born. She actually was born in VA. Actually, she's born in Virginia. Her father was in the military as well as me. I'm also a veteran, by the way. So shout out to all my my service members, veterans and whatnot. But her, most definitely. At any rate, her father was in the military as well. He's originally from New York, the Bronx, if I'm not mistaken. So is her mom, and she was actually born in VA while her father was in the military, and they wound up living in Cuba for a little bit because he was stationed out there in the 80s. And then they moved back here, but she was pretty much raised in Connecticut for the most part because when they were in Cuba, she was super young. So I think they moved back to the States when she was about 5. And she was in Connecticut. That's where I met her when I was stationed in Connecticut. So yeah, she's from up north as well.
Hey, man, how long y'all been married?
Actually, yeah, that's the crazy part. A lot of people wouldn't believe it by looking at us, but yeah, we've married almost. We're going on almost on 20 years, actually. I do believe it or not. Yeah. Actually, I just turned 40 years old this year. My wife is still in her 30s right now. She's. I won't tell her age. She wouldn't care because she looks like yeah, I know, right? She's only a year younger than me, so I just put it that way.
Yeah.
At any rate, yeah, we met when I was in the military, and I think I was about 20. How old was I? I think I was 20 when we met. I was 20 when we met, and I was 21 when we got married. So we got married about a year after we met, and she was roughly 19 when we met. When we got married, she was 20, I was 21. So we've been together pretty much ever since, man, and that's been our story.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, man.
That's what's up. How was it for her adjusting to, I guess, your way of lifestyle? I guess we could bring it to the dog breeding business.
Oh, that was easy adjustment for her. My wife, I just happen to marry an animal person, and it really doesn't matter for her what animal comes in her path. She's just an animal person in general. She was definitely used to smaller dogs, but honestly, it was quick for her to adapt to the lifestyle that I like. Because one, she's a supportive wife, super supportive wife, and a supportive person in general, a great person. But she adapted very quickly. It wasn't even matter of time. She was an animal person, so I guess when you're an animal person, it doesn't really matter to you. You know what I mean? What animal comes your way.
Right, got you. That's cool, man. That's cool. I wanted to get with you today. We're gonna talk about a little bit of nuts and bolts of things. Uh,
Okay.
Everybody like the glitz and glamour, and the beautiful dogs, and the cute puppies and stuff. But we want to dive into the not so pretty side of the stuff. Start off
Okay.
by start off by asking you, what's a typical day for you? Just from waking up all the way to the end of the day.
Oh yeah, typical day for me. Okay, well, one thing is for me, and a lot of people don't realize too that yeah, I'm with this dog thing full time, man. So I'm doing the breeding thing and consulting and whatnot full time with the dogs. So my life is the dogs, other than my family, of course. But my life is the dogs in terms of work. So it is work for me, you know.
Right.
But a typical day for me would consist of just waking up at a certain time. So you would say I'm in that entrepreneur world. That's where I'm at. And with that comes a lot more responsibility. A lot of people will probably hear entrepreneur and things as such, and they think of freedom, which is true. You can obtain it and you can get there in terms of the lifestyle that you want to live. And pretty much you're your own boss. You set the rules, you set the time and things as such. But with that comes work too. So a lot of times being an entrepreneur, your clock doesn't turn off, which leads me into and what I mean by that is there's no time to really no official time to clock out of work is what I'm trying to say. So there's no official time to clock out of work. And with that being said, that's what goes with kind of being an entrepreneur, because you're your administration, you're your and my wife, my kids help. Don't get me wrong, but you're your own administrative person. You're your own payroll. You're your own cleanup crew. You know you're the CEO, but you're also the store associate, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So with that comes a lot of time. So a typical day for me would start off with me just waking up. Generally, I try to get up between 8 and 9, being home. If the kids are going to school, I mean, this is summertime schedule I'm giving you. But if the kids are going to school, I'm up a lot earlier. At any rate, usually I'm trying to be outside by the kennels to the kennels roughly between 8 and 9 a.m. From there, I let the girls out to play. While they're playing, I'm usually cleaning up the yard, cleaning up the kennels, sanitizing, going through that. At the same time, I've already brought out the food there, so I'm going to feed them as well. So I get them back in their kennels. They eat. From there, I probably go inside, go take care of some business, or make sure the kids are situated with school and whatnot. Everything is virtual now, so make
Right.
sure they're situated. Get that together. I might do some stuff in terms of website, in terms of marketing, and things as such for the for the kennel. Get those things together. Definitely calling clients back and people who've called us, because we get several calls every week. Several calls every week. Even every day, I get messages. As a matter of fact, you just remind me of a message that I have to go check on the email. At any rate, that would start off the first half of my day pretty much, so I got that going on. In between then, of course, checking on the kids. Then my second part of the day will be me going back outside. Again, the girls are going to probably run this second time around. They're going to run, play. I'm going to work them out and, clean up the kennels again for a second round. And from there, again, put them away. Keep in mind, this is just my schedule without puppies.
Right.
Puppy schedule is going to make it a lot longer day, and it's stuff I enjoy, so I don't complain about it. It's stuff I enjoy, and it's stuff that I've adapted to because this is what I enjoy. I love doing this, So yeah, but pretty much that's the typical day right there, is taking care of the girls, going in and out. If I have any vet appointments, if I have any breedings that I have to do, those are all mixed into basically what I told you. So it gets to be a lot of work, man, but when you enjoy something, can you really call it work? I enjoy it, and it's work. And let me say, there's days it's tiring and things as such, but again, when you enjoy or you have a passion for something, you got to look at it as like, hey, just another day and doing what I enjoy doing.
Right. Now, do you find that this is typically the same routine every day, or does it vary? Not without puppies.
It can vary. Without puppies, it can vary. I want to say it's a little easier without puppies, of course. It's kind of like saying, you got your teenagers and you got a baby. If you got a newborn baby, you got to put a little more work in. Where a teenager is a little more self-sufficient. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
So, there's not as much work goes in, but it can definitely vary. I mean, if you get a dog that winds up being sick, we've been fortunate in that sense. If you're doing everything you can to take care of your dogs, proper diets, proper meals, exercise, usually they're typically not there's nothing to really worry about in terms of visiting the vet. Quite frankly, my vet visits throughout the year consist more of puppies as opposed to check up on my dogs, because
right.
the dogs are just they're well maintained, well taken care of, and I'm on top of their health every day to make sure there's no let's say you want to check your dogs regularly, maybe for ticks or for other things. I do that naturally just by petting them,
Right.
and spending a little time individually with each one. Or maybe Rottweilers are prone to having hot spots too, particularly in the summer or whatever, especially if you have kennel dogs. Sometimes you might get an ant or two that crawls on them or something, bit them somewhere, and then now they're constantly scratching at that spot, which will develop a hot spot. So those are the things I kind of look for. But in terms of me being going to the vet regularly with my dogs, it really consists of more. The most time you'll see me going to the vet is really just for their regular checkups, or rather their regular vaccinations, and for pregnancies and pregnancy checks and puppies. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times it's mostly puppy related is why I'm at the vet. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right, I got you. Now, do you find it hard doing all this by yourself, or do you prefer doing all this by yourself, or you open to help? Maybe, of course, like you say, with your wife, or maybe even your kids every now and then, or do you prefer to do everything yourself to, I guess,
No,
keep everything together?
that's a good question. Honestly, really, in reality, I'm not really by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the family and the kids do help. My wife can't help as much because she's in school right now, wrapping up her master's degree for a nurse practitioner. She's almost done. She'll be graduating in about a month, so congratulations to her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's wrapping up. She's right around the corner. But so she can't. She's not in the nitty gritty as much, just because it would be too difficult for her to be able to do that. But my kids, like my son just turned 17, so you know he helps a lot, and so does my daughter. Especially when the puppies come around, they help in particular. A lot of times it's a requirement because they live here.
Right, right,
That's
right.
how they pay their. That's how they pay their keep. Earn their keep, rather I should say.
I
But
got
yeah, they definitely help me out. A lot of times I am doing most of it by myself because I'm here to do it. If I feel like I'm getting a little overwhelmed, then I start getting on them a little more and telling them, hey, I need you to take care of this, and that. Or I start assigning more, rather I should say. But they're willing parties, so they help me out. They do it and take care of it. Uh, I'm definitely one of those type of people that I guess you can call me somewhat of a control freak a little bit. So I do like things done a certain way.
you.
But I'm definitely not closed. I'm definitely not closed out in terms of the option of having people help, because eventually I may have to do that because it's growing and growing and growing every day.
Right.
So in terms of the kennel. So definitely having people here, I'd welcome help. You know what I mean? In terms of people coming through, I definitely welcome help, especially if you're doing it to my standard, because I do keep a certain standard, but I think that's what makes the kennel a quality kennel that we have. A9 Rottweilers is based on the fact that, it's kind of got a military feel to it in terms of how I do things around the kennels, in terms of how I keep it clean, how I keep it maintained, and what I want done daily to make sure the atmosphere is perfect for the dogs. That's really what it's about. If you don't have healthy animals, how are you producing healthy offspring?
Right. Now,
And
this one of my big questions that I have for you. How would you go about screening someone for, I guess you could say, like an outside helper to help you around with the kennel, and maybe screening someone to possibly being a partner of yours?
okay, so if I'm screening for a person to be my partner, I answer the partner part first. If anybody's gonna be my partner, I'm really looking where your morals stand and things as such. A lot of times it's just through the process of me knowing you, knowing that person, or getting to know that person, and usually that's built over time. Because I think you do have to have a respect for anybody you go into business with or you partner with or whatever. You have to have that mutual respect, one, and then their morals kind of have to line up with yours. You know what I mean? Like if I'm on this level where I want the dogs to be healthy, super healthy and this and that, and you're more like, I don't really care about that, I just care about making dollars and cents, and we're probably not going to line up. You know what I mean? We're probably not going to mix. So the animals have to be first. That's just the bottom line. You know, and it's just logic. If the animals are not well taken care of, you know what I mean. And when I say animals, whether you're a horse breeder, whether you're a goat breeder, whether you're a farmer in general, to me, how do you consistently produce a great product? I hate to talk about it like that or call animals product, but you know what I mean. How do you keep producing consistently something that's healthy, and how do you promote that? At least for me, I'm not looking to make money off these animals for the sake of, excuse me, by risking their health is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So I'm not willing to do that. That's just not me. It's not my style. It's never been my style. And I think I even told you this in past, Corey. I believe in karma. I'm definitely believe in karma. Call it what you want. Karma, consequences, things as such, or for every for every action there is an opposite or equal reaction. You know what I mean? So for me, I just think the energy you put out is the energy you receive back. So I try to put out good vibes through my animals and good vibes in what I do. So that way that all comes back to me and hopefully is returned to me that same way. With that being said, I'm looking for somebody who's the same way. If I'm going to work with somebody, I want to do something with them. And that's what I look for. Even if somebody's just trying to breed to one of my dogs, or they want me to help out with their program, I'm not looking to interview you to help you out in your process per se, but I'd hope some of the things I feel lines up with some of the things you feel in terms of dog breeding and the health of the animals. That's really what it comes down to.
Right.
In terms of seeking somebody to, you mean like somebody to work for me? You mean like if somebody's going to work for me?
Yeah.
If somebody's going to work for me, if you're going to work for me, like in particularly at my kennel, then there'll be just like strict requirements in terms of how we approach. I mean, anything I ask anybody to do is the same things that I do. You know what I mean? So you'll never catch me being one of those people. I'll never be one of those people that hey, go clean this, and this up, man. I'm out there cleaning it with you.
Right.
Go wash the dogs or whatever. Now I'm doing it. If I'm not out there doing it with you, it's something I will do and I'm more than capable of doing, So it's one of those things that, if I ask you to do something, it's because I'm capable of doing it. I've done it. And, and then on top of that, again, I want it done a certain way. Just because that's how I feel like it needs to be done in order to operate a certain way, right? It's kind of like Chick-fil-A. You don't hear one person, you don't ever leave that restaurant without hearing what phrase. What phrase do you never hear when you leave Chick-fil-A without leaving? Excuse me, when you're leaving Chick-fil-A, what phrase don't you never not hear?
My pleasure.
Our pleasure. Damn right. You know what I mean? Okay, I don't care what it could be. The janitor mopping the floor. It was my pleasure, sir. My pleasure. You know what I'm saying? To mop this area where you were at. You know what I mean? So there's a consistency about them, and there's a reason why. It's not because Chick-fil-A's food is all. I mean, they got great food, of course. I'm sure anybody who partakes in poultry and things such, they know that Chick-fil-A they're slamming, right?
Right.
But it's not that it's the best food on the planet, but I think what people appreciate at Chick-fil-A is the fast and consistent service.
Right.
That's really what comes down to it. It's a consistent service there, man. I'm not even the biggest Chick-fil-A fan like that. You know what I mean? My wife and kids are bigger Chick-fil-A fans than me. But what I tell you, I am a fan of is their customer service, and and it's a testament for anybody who has a business that you better pay attention to what they're doing over there because they've set the standard. That's pretty much what happened. They set the standard of customer service. Right. And consistency, and I like that about them. And I kind of borrow things like that from different companies that I see. Even though I'm a smaller business, I borrow those things because these are things that make them successful, not just their food, but how they present the food to you, what's coming with it. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, do you feel like it's a necessity to have outside help, or can you basically handle all this yourself?
No, I think there's gonna come time. It depends how big your kennel is, which will bring me back to a point that what we talked about in our first interview when I had mentioned, before I answer that question completely, I said, hey, to worry about a male before you worry about a female I think is the stupidest thing in the planet. That's what I said, right? And what I mean by that is, and I guess I'll paraphrase it. It's silly to have a male on the yard in a breeding program without knowing what females you're going to have there, or without having females. And I guess my point I'm trying to make is, if you want to breed, there's nothing wrong with having a nice, strong male that you're going to breed to. There's nothing wrong with having 2 or 3 strong males, but if you have 3 males and 1 female, and you're trying to be a breeder, that makes no sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? It makes no sense, especially when you can get semen from anywhere you want in the world. Okay. So I wanted to go back and cover that because I remember I was listening to the interview when we did it, and I said, I know some people like, oh man, well I like, I don't want nobody to get up, in a frenzy because I said it's a stupid thing to have a male in the yard. Let me clarify again. It's silly to have several males on your yard, but you only have 1 female. It's one thing to have a nice, strong male. And even when you get a male, you want to make sure that male is consistent and he's producing or whatnot, and that's tough to do with a male.
Right.
Well, your females are going to be your producer. That's your bread and butter, for lack of better words, So if you're focused on males, and you haven't even lined your yard with gorgeous females yet, you know what I mean? So it's really more of a tip as opposed to, a put down. It's more of a, hey, listen, it's great to have a nice solid male. You know what I mean? Calls I get in Corey, I'm sure you've gotten them too. People want male. It's just now recently in these last few years that I've seen people coming up more consistently where they want females now, and I think people are starting, at least people who want to breed and whatnot. If you want to breed, and I've had so many people tell me, I'm looking to breed in the future. I'm like, the first thing you're getting is a male. That kind of makes no sense if you're looking to breed.
Right.
You know what I mean? My whole point to that is that you could essentially produce the male you want when you, if you have a female, if you have your female first, or you have a nice strong females on the yard, you could essentially, you're looking all over the place to get a male, but you could essentially produce the male you want from one of your females if you just take the time to do it. But again, nothing wrong with having males in the yard. I even recommend, honestly, I know I've said, for me, I only have 1 male on the yard, but to clarify that, also space is a big thing, right? So let's say you say you got limited facilities, you don't have a super big yard. You may have a house with a yard, but it's not a super big yard. So you're gonna buy 2 males and 1 female. Or my thing is that I'd rather have the 2 females and 1 male in that case, or better yet, 3 females, because my quarters are so limited in terms of how many dogs I can have. Okay. So with that being said, those are the things I just wanted to kind of clarify from our last interview that I wanted to go over about having a male versus having a female. And the thing is, if you're looking to go into breeding, then males are probably not necessarily the best choice to have first, but you can do it. I mean, it's everybody's prerogative to do it that way,
Right.
And I know a lot of guys that did it. Yeah, I've done it. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you from experience, I'm like, well, if I can, and I'll be honest with you, if I can go back in time, like, you know what, I would have definitely started off my female. Mind you, this is the same advice that was given to me by my mentor that told me the same thing. He's like, hey, Dave, man, you want to really look for a female, man. You're looking to breed eventually. That's what you're saying. So why are you, stuck on this male thing? And it's because almost everybody who's getting a big dog wants that big, powerful male on their yard. You know what I mean? They want that presence. They want that feel of having a male when they're just as gorgeous, big, powerful females out there. But just guys don't, most people who are getting dogs don't think about that, especially if they're getting into breeding. So that's really more a tip for my potential breeding folks who want to get into breeding for sure. You know what I mean? They don't want to do that. Well, then it's like, then you really, really should be looking at a female. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. And that's just a tip. I'm trying to, with that tip, I'm trying to save time and money for people. You know what I mean? Because then they learn later, like, oh man, I could have did this, and that. So, but at the same time, everybody's got to walk their own path, right? So, everything we share here on this podcast is just, hey, it's just information. It's just tips. It's just things that we've learned from our experiences, right?
Right. Now, do you think someone can have a program with just strictly females and no males?
Heck yeah. Oh yeah, that's completely possible. But you can't do it the opposite way, right?
Right.
Or correction. Let's correct that, because some people might say, Dave, you're wrong for that. You can't have no, you really can't. If I be honest with you, you can't say you can have a yard full of males and have a successful breeding program because you don't have females. Especially your females to kind of narrow down what you want to do in terms of breeding pups. So how do you know you're producing the right results other than what people are sending you? You know what I mean? In terms of pictures, right?
Right.
So females produce, males don't produce, you know what I mean? In terms of actually physically putting out the puppies, you know what I mean? So you can have a successful program with the male, but think about even right now, the top males you hear about, right? The top males you hear about are maybe 10 right now that we're talking about in the dog world, and there's plenty more. But let's go even better. Let's go even better than that. Let's be more modest. Let's say there's 20 top male Rottweilers, pit bulls, whatever their horses. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but think about the world now. Those are the most known dogs in the world. Now you're coming up with a male, and you haven't put in the work or the marketing on that male like these people have done, or they just have the notoriety. You don't. You know what I mean? So how do you promote that male and be successful? So what I mean is it's a minimal opportunity to have a dope male like that a whole bunch of people are going to know about, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? And the thing is, you can have that great male there, but maybe you don't have that notoriety yet because your name is not as big yet and things as such. It's like I told you last time. It's almost like being in the NBA. It's you know, there's a lot of great ball players out there, right? A lot of great ball players. I know a lot of them from Jersey, and I grew up north, East Coast, and there's a lot of great ball players out there that I know didn't make it to the NBA. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot of maybe they didn't have that backing, maybe they didn't have that opportunity to present. So I compare that to kind of like males in the dog breeding world. Even if you have a bad male, doesn't mean he's going to be known, which means you may not earn what the other big top dogs are earning per year with doing multiple breedings with their males. You know what I mean? So that's why I say the focus can't be solely on males. It's not that you can't work on that, but you can't solely focus on a male in any breeding program. It just makes no sense to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to answer your question, it's not that you can't be successful with just males on the yard. I would say it's highly unlikely that you'll be super successful, or more successful than you can be with having females on the yard. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think I don't know if I said it right. I was asking you, could you have a successful program with strictly females, no males on your yard?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's why I reversed. Yeah, you're correct. I'm sorry, but you're right. You're right. Yeah, with just females, of course. Hell yeah, you could have a completely successful program because that goes back to my other comment I said to you. You can get semen from anywhere in the world. You know what I mean? In terms of the males you want, you get semen from anywhere in the world from any top male you want. Males that some people haven't even heard of yet. So yes, and then as long as you're lining up the pedigrees and doing everything you're supposed to do and lining things up correctly, then yeah, you can definitely do that before you have males on the yard doing that 100 times over. Right now I can let's put it this way. I have Django, but I don't breed the Django all the time.
Right.
But yet I have a successful breeding program. You know what I mean?
Right.
So anybody, and a lot of times, you see your males, you'll see people with males on their yard. And I would say most breeders, if you look at most breeders who have given their space now, keep that in mind, given their space, because you got these guys in Serbia, they got a lot of males on the yard, you know what I mean? But I guarantee you they have 2 times more females. So
Right.
let's say you got a guy like Tamitor who has a big facility out there, you know what I mean? And he can accommodate, let's say, I think like 30 dogs or something like that. I guarantee you, 10 of those dogs, if 10 are males, the other 20 are females. I guarantee it. There's no way in hell you're going to see all the males. And even if he has, and I bet you 5 of those males are probably for sale.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're potentials that he probably kept back or whatever. And that goes for any breeding program, especially when you got the space. So giving certain people space, especially when you start getting into the breeding world, and of course what you can afford, you know what I mean? Then you're probably going to have limited space, limited room, maybe limited funds to start. So if you're in that position, then I would say, well, looking at your female is your best bet because you can always have a successful program with several females, not several males. You know what I mean? And I mean as opposed.
Let me ask you this. So with that being said, why do, from what I can see, most breeders or some breeders, they typically show their males more than their females?
Oh yeah, because that's what people want. You know what I mean? It's like that's the bread and butter because they're going to show you. And sometimes, hell, they may be hiding something nice with the females that they don't want you to see yet, or whatever the case may be. Let's be real, you know what I mean? They may be hiding something there. But a lot of times, your male is your bread and butter for almost anything. I mean, I guess it's the society you live in. Males supposedly speak strength. You know what I mean?
Right.
When I've seen gorgeous females that are dairy males in terms of looks and structure, but your male is they know that. People know that, hey, it's like if I did it this way. If females were the hardcore thing right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm probably not going to really show males. I'm going to show you my baddest females, right? I'm going to show you those. I'm going to show you what's produced in there. And it's not that people don't show their females. I'm sure you know, but people show males because that's what typically people want to see.
Right.
I know people who've come to me and they hadn't even bothered looking at the mom. You know what I mean? And the mom is probably nicer than the male, but they want to see what the male looks like. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where in reality, 80% of everything those puppies are going to get is probably going to be coming from mom.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So you better pay attention to mom's pedigree more than you paying the daddy's pedigree. It's not that he won't give anything, you know what I mean? But a lot of what's coming from, and you'll find other breeders that agree with me with that statement, is that a lot of the stuff you're going to get is going to be from your females. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of things you're going to produce is going to be from your female's lineage. You know, she's throwing most of it.
Right. Now, how do you introduce a new family member to the program, a new puppy, bringing them into something that's already established with other dogs that are already there?
Oh man, whenever you bring in a puppy, man, at least the way we do it is I always bring them in gradually, man. Depending where your puppy's coming from, regardless if you got the puppy from overseas or you got it even just from down the street, from a great breeder that you may know in your neighborhood is rather what I should say. You want to introduce them gradually, man, because it's new for them. You know, puppies come home, they're shy. They're always going to be like that. You get a few personalities that are a little stronger personalities, so they're not too worried. But a lot of times, remember, they live with puppies and their mom most of their life. So now they see this big, like, Django comes around and they're like, whoa, intimidated. And Django's really great with pups. So he's great with all dogs,
Right.
But really it's just a gradual process. So when I first come in the first day, I'm not even introducing them to the dogs the first day, First day is just the family, us sitting around, getting to know the dog, let them hang out, let them chill, give them a lot of attention. Second day, I might introduce them because I got little dogs too, as you know. So I might introduce the little one. The little one is the most active one. So sometimes even with her, we introduce her to dogs to kind of calm her down. You know what I mean? Because she's so excited that something's new in here. Super friendly, but nonetheless, that can make the puppy a little nervous. So we introduce them gradually, let that go. Then I might introduce it to one of my more, for lack of better words, more tame females. They're all tame. Don't get me wrong. I'm using the wrong word. What I should say, one of my more chill females, like Fiona. Fiona is one of my more chill females. So I'll probably introduce her to a puppy. Same thing with Diva. Diva's a real good chill female, especially with puppies. So I'll introduce a pup to her. As opposed to Storm. Storm likes to play with pups like they're grown. So, so that wouldn't be a first day thing with that puppy. You know what I mean? With Storm. Storm likes to hop around pups and play with them, and she's being gentle in her own way. But the thing is, we don't want that vibe right away because we're trying to get the dog to be comfortable.
Right.
So again, it will be one of my more adult females. Same thing with Django. Django will be Django will really probably be the very first big dog that the puppy meets right in because he's just super great with pups,
Right.
and he's good about breaking them out, breaking the ice with them and getting them comfortable. So that's usually how the process works for us. And then from there, honestly, within the week, the puppy has met almost all the dogs, or at least has interacted with the big dogs. So that way, when it does interact with the more rambunctious adults, that like to play and more active, it's already kind of used to a big dog presence.
Right.
And that's kind of how we do it.
So it's more so an adjustment for the puppy.
That's right.
Bigger dogs.
Oh yeah, big time. The big dogs don't care. At least around my house, because we have puppies regularly, in the sense that if we have puppies 2 or 3 times a year, my dogs are around pups, even the more rambunctious ones. So they're around puppies often. So it's more for the puppy as opposed to the dogs, because they know what puppies are. They're used to them. They just get excited every time they see them. But the little puppies, it's more for them to get used to the presence of so many large dogs around them now. They're in other words, introducing them to a pack and getting them to control the pack. And I would say even with me introducing them into the yard playing, that's a whole nother level. So like when I let all the girls out, because all my dogs are out at once. A lot of people always ask, that's a good question that people ask, like, hey, a lot of people don't realize that I have 8 full-grown Rottweilers here, not including whatever puppies that are on the ground, just the 8 that live with my family and I. So we have all those Rottweilers here. Plus we have the 2 little dogs, plus we got a mini pig. We got 2 ferrets, so we got our own little Noah's Ark here, a little farm kind of thing going on here. We got a lot. We got a few animals. I told you my wife was an animal person. That just doesn't happen any household, so and she loves every animal that's here. But what I would say is that it's a process before I let a puppy play in the yard with the big dogs all together. You know what I mean? Because you're talking about big 100+ pound dogs running around, and sometimes they may not see that puppy, they might crush that pup.
Right.
So before I let them in the circle with all the big dogs, because every single one of those dogs plays with each other at any given time. The only time you don't see one of the dogs out there is when the girls are in heat. Like right now, a couple of girls are in heat, so I won't let Django out if I don't want to breed him to him. I won't let Django out because it'd just be a breed fest the whole time. They're trying to play and have some fun and get some exercise in. So that's the only time I don't let them out together. But other than that, they're always out together. Even the little dogs, they play with my big dogs. Every dog has to get along in my house. That's the temperament thing for me, which goes back to what I told you about temperament with breeding dogs. But before I introduce a puppy into that, that's going to be a while. That'll probably be a couple months until the puppy gets a little more solid, if that makes sense, a little bigger, so they can handle if it gets run over by them just running and playing in the yard. They can take it. We're not breaking legs and things,
Right. Now, do you have to give each and every one of your dogs their own individual time with you?
That's a good question. Go ahead, Corey. I'm sorry, I interrupted the question.
No. I answered it. I asked the question.
Okay, so if do I give them each individual time? Absolutely. I definitely do the one-on-one thing with the dogs for sure. My wife does the same thing. Django, I would say Django's the most spoiled of the crew because Django, as you know, I have a kennel, so I have kennel. Their dogs are kennel most of the time. I shouldn't say most of the time, but in terms of their sleeping quarters, that's where they're at. They're in the kennels. I bring them in the house and rotate them from time to time. But Django is most spoiled with that. Same thing with Jubilee. They're always in the house. Mm-hmm. And that's because, Django would drive himself nuts because he's the only male here. So whenever these females are in heat, I got my side going crazy.
Which one?
Exactly, man. He'll drive himself nuts, Yeah. So, and plus Django is a canine protection dog as well. So he's definitely always in the house, So Django gets a lot of one-on-one attention. So does Jubilee in terms of dogs. But then I'll take a female out. Yeah, I'll definitely give them their own one-on-one personal time because having so many females, I could be petting Fiona and the other one pushes her hand and they don't fight. They don't fight for it, but they just kind of nudge to get in between. But it could lead to a little dispute sometimes, because everybody wants your affection,
Right.
So even though I let them out all the time and I play with them all the time together, I also make sure I give them all one-on-one petting time where I just take them out into the grass, have them lay on their belly. A lot of times they do it naturally or rather lay on their back and I'm just rubbing their belly. Give them about 5 minutes, 10 minutes per dog. And that's all dogs want, man. Hell, you can give a dog 1 minute and you done gave that dog love and attention, just caressing, petting, scratching, whatever. So yes, to answer your question, yeah, I definitely give them one-on-one time. All of them. Every one of them gets one-on-one time. Yeah, even if it's for a couple minutes, I try to give them that one-on-one time for sure.
And you think that's important for the dog? It kind of gives them the encouragement or just showing that type of affection?
Absolutely. So the dog is known, like same thing with Diva. Diva's more inside dog. Actually, they're all inside dogs. To tell you the truth, they all can live inside. I would say some more than others. Like for example, Rogue and Contessa are your more rambunctious dogs. So they be more dogs that I watch when they're inside.
Right.
Where like Diva adapts no problem. Fiona's good inside, real good inside. Same thing with Phoenix. She's real good inside. Storm's real good inside as well. They all are really, but definitely important to have that one-on-one attention with every dog. That the dog gets to personalize with you in a one-on-one basis. It's no different than having kids, and you don't want nobody to feel left out, right? So I feel that same way with the dogs, and I don't want anybody to feel left out. So I try to give everybody one-on-one attention at some point,
Right. So with that being
said, but I would say that definitely super important. Yeah, to me. I mean, somebody else might say, this guy's too sensitive with his dogs. Nah, but I like to do that. I think, especially if you're breeding and you're getting something from these dogs, you're not giving anything back to the dog. You know what I mean?
Because they're working for you.
That's right. They're working for you. They're putting out stuff, and then dogs are loyal, man. When they tell you dogs are a man's best friend, they mean it, man. I mean, I had somebody said this one time. I forget who it is, so I can't quote them exactly, but they said, "Hey, listen, take your wife and lock her in the trunk for an hour. right? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or better yet, take your dog, lock that dog in the trunk for an hour. When you come back, that dog will be happy as hell to see you. Do that same thing with your wife, see what happens. You know, that's how loyal dogs are. You know what I mean? Dogs are super loyal, man. You know, man's best friend, and they say it for a reason. So, with that being said, you got an animal that's loyal, that is that loyal to man. You know, to me, it don't take nothing but 5 minutes, maybe even 2 minutes, to give that dog some one-on-one attention. Just make that dog feel loved. You know, and I think you receive it back when you do those things.
Right. So that's why it's very important to, like, know your dogs, and
That's right.
pay attention to, like, their body language. Almost like you said, like your children, you can tell. You might not be in such a good mood. Like, you call your dog,
Yeah.
hey, come here, what's going on? Just showing them that attention might make their day better. You know what I mean?
Correct. And you got the feeling and whatnot, and you know it, because sometimes just like, maybe I haven't hung out with one of them, on a one-on-one basis in a while, because I hang out with them every day. This is all I do. So I'm with them every day.
Right.
So I'm playing with them every day. But I mean, it's not enough just to be, okay, well, I cleaned up your area, so you should be grateful, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or I fed you, so you should feel good. Nah, man, I like to pet the dogs and touch them. Sometimes they come to me. I don't even go to them. Sometimes I'm in the middle of cleaning. One comes under my arm while I'm trying to pick up some poop. And I'm like, at the worst time, but, I try to tell them to back up, and right after that, I give them some love,
Yeah, I tend to try to show, a little bit more attention. Like, let's just say one of my females is having a litter, and the other dogs see that this one particular dog is getting more attention. So, just your psyche kick in and be like, man, let me go ahead and show y'all some attention. I've been hanging out with her and the puppies.
Correct.
What's going on? How y'all doing? You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
And if you think about it too, like, if you're a dog, for me, I'm a dog. I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore animal person. I love all animals. Don't get me wrong, man. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't necessarily mean I have anything for my pet. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like I like small dogs, but I don't have a house full of like Shih Tzus or anything like that. You know what I mean? But if they're yours, then I'm gonna give them some love. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like animals in that sense. But I think you feel a certain connection with them. So there's times where, I'm not even thinking about it. If you're a true animal person, you're not even thinking about it to give your love to the dog or to any animal that you may own. It kind of happens naturally. So that occurs pretty much, I would say, almost every day with the dogs, almost every day. You know what I'm saying? At least out of a 7-day week, I'm spending some one-on-one time with almost all of them, in terms of in a petting capacity, or just giving them a little attention separate from the other dogs. I'll even mush off the other dogs, because, like, let's say I got Contessa as a good example. She'll come and she likes to lay down automatically and lay on her back so I can rub her belly. So I'll sit in the ground with her, and I got all the dogs out. So what happens? They all want to come.
Right.
The minute I sit down, they all want to go, oh, Dad's sitting down. I'm like, no. I'll mush them all off. Hey, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell them all, go about their business. I'm spending time with Contessa. And they go about their business. They understand.
Yeah.
They go play with each other, whatever. They're a little jealous at that point, but, I want them to understand too that, hey, this is one-on-one time with this particular one. And then if Diva comes, and I get her, and I'll mush off the other ones. Then I'll get Phoenix, same thing. I'll mush off the other ones, you know what I mean? And that's if I have them out. A lot of times I just bring them out one-on-one, and I'll leave the other ones in the kennel, in their own kennel. And of course, they're crying and whining. Hey, they want some time, but they get over it. They get over it, because then I give them their own time.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I definitely know them struggles, man.
Yeah, exactly, for sure, man. It only gets worse the more dogs you add onto the yard. So, honestly, it comes with the territory, man. Again, treat them good, and they'll treat you good. Simple as that.
Can you talk a little bit about nutrition for your dogs? What you like, what you don't like. I know it's a debate between the raw and kibble, and everybody has their own preference. But I guess I'm saying, what's your preference? Or what do you like?
Honestly, I do a mixture. That's me. I like to do a mixture between both, in terms of meats with the kibble, meats by itself, or and then other little things, other little trade, my own little personal touches here that everybody got their own little. I think everybody has their own little supplement routine that they might do with their dogs. I have a couple of things that I've shared before. A lot of times that information is, now that I'm consulting, that's consulting information. So, so I don't share all of it. But there's some things I share that's just natural. It's naturally good for dogs. But in terms of what I like, I would say the program is more 60-40 in terms of kibble and meat. You know what I mean? And I think part of it is even I can even say 70-30 with meat, because to me, I don't know how some of these guys are doing with the raw, but I haven't worked it completely out yet in terms of how it's economically reasonable to
Man,
do the real. I mean, you tell me. I mean, I haven't seen. And don't get me wrong. Like I know chicken leg quarters are pretty cheap. Chicken gizzards are pretty cheap. Obviously, once you get to steak or something like that, there's no way in hell somebody is feeding steak all the time in their program unless they just got it like that financially.
right,
You know what I mean? There's no way. I just don't see it. And somebody tell me, oh yeah, I feed them steak every day. I'm like, psh, you must be broke every day too, because I
right.
don't even eat steak every day. You know what I mean? So so I think it's about balance. You know what I mean? If you can find a healthy balance, but then you got people that, hey, I figure out how to feed them just raw. I like a kibble and raw, so kibble and meats, poultry, fish, things like that. And I try to do that for them at least 2 to 3 times a week with the kibble mixed in with the with whatever raw product that I'm using, or I might even find it on sale. So if chicken leg quarters are on sale that week, then that's probably what they're going to have for their raw supplement. You know what I mean? In addition to any other vitamins that I might give them and supplements and stuff like that that goes into the food. You know, these things are good. I'll share a little nutrition, which is basic. I'm sure a lot of people know that eggs are really good for dogs, at least in my personal experience. They've always been great for dogs. And I'm talking about just raw eggs. You don't have to cook them. You can. But even if you cook them, I wouldn't cook them with salt or anything like that because we know that sodium isn't great for dogs, right?
Right.
So, so even if you cook them, because you think dog like a lot of people have a misconception of that, especially people who spoil their dogs. Oh, we should cook them. Like,
Yeah.
listen, it's like, listen, the dog is used to having raw stuff. You kind of remember when you do cook things, you are taking a lot of the nutritional benefits that would go into that food for the dog and how it would eat it in the wild. And a lot of people, well, he's not a wild dog no more. I'm like, yeah, but he still has a wild, wild biological makeup.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even though he's not wild, he or she is not wild, they have a wild biological makeup, which means that it benefits them more to eat it in that capacity. You know what I mean? In terms of it being raw and natural, because that's how they would eat it, So even though they have somewhat evolved in terms of, in terms of what they eat, and that's because of us, that's because of man. But if we weren't there to interfere, they eating just like their ancestors, there, or even like current wolves eat. They eating what they catch and what's raw. You know what I mean? So I like to put raw eggs in the dog's food at least 3 times a week. Omegas are really important for skin and coat health. So like that raw egg also works in that capacity as well. I found that works in terms of not necessarily skin, I would say, but more coat sheen and things as such. It's healthy in that capacity. Plus, it's protein. You know what I mean? So, so the egg. So usually I would try to add at least 3 times a week, add a raw egg to everybody's meal.
Right.
And eggs are something that could be super cheap too, especially if you own chickens. Those are all my people all my people that own chickens out there and actually have chickens and lay their own eggs. And you're trying to figure out a way out. Man, I got too many eggs now. Everybody I talk to that has chickens that went that route and said, man, I got chickens now, but I got so many eggs that I got to give them away. Well, if you got dogs or you have a kennel, shoot, that's the best way. Give it. And now you're giving them pure chickens. Nothing's touched. Nothing's filtered. Nothing's what do you call it? Preserved or anything like that. So now you got all these eggs. Well, use them for your dogs. You know what I'm saying? 3 times a week, boom. Now you got now you got eggs for you and the dogs. And they got nice fresh eggs that are gonna be super great for their system. Another thing I like to use. Another little nutritional tip in terms of just omegas would be like fish oil. Mm-hmm. Or even olive oil. To tell you the truth, that's great for the coat and the skin as well. Mind you, this is all my personal experience, and I'm giving you guys the things I've used and the tips I've been using for years, and I haven't had a problem in terms of Rottweilers being allergic to. Somebody might use this and say, and honestly, I haven't heard it being bad for any dog, but I'm specifically going to talk about Rottweilers and say, hey, these are the things that I've done. And even with the oil, it's not an everyday thing. The reason I don't do it every day, some people go, why don't you just do it every day? I'm like, well, the reason I don't do it every day is because let's say I'm just feeding my dog kibble, right? I'm feeding my dog just kibble, but now I throw the kibble or egg in there. The reason I don't do eggs every day, one, because that could be expensive, and two, especially when you got eight plus dogs, that can get kind of expensive, even though eggs are cheap. But two is that my personal theory is I don't want to spoil the dogs to not be able to eat its normal meal without anything in it. You get what I mean? So
I ran into that before, man.
Exactly. You get those dogs. You get these dogs that get super spoiled. Like, if you're giving them chicken, eggs, this and that, and a little bit of kibble. Well, they want you do that every day, and then you try to stop that after 2 months, bruh. They're looking at you like crazy when you give them plain kibble.
Right. This ain't my meal. Yeah.
Yeah, man, you just lost your mind. So I try to keep a balance with that where let's say times are rough and I can't afford to do that right now in terms of having a ton of meats and great fish and things like that, which thank Lord I haven't had that problem. But let's say that happens. Well, they're used to eating kibble, for a little bit because that's what we have. That's what's available. That's what's the best economic, economically thing to do in terms of my wallet, maybe. You know what I mean? So, the kibble might be cheaper than me doing the meats and stuff. And some people might argue with me that. That's why I want to hear more people. I want to talk to more people out the raw because I've gotten about fully raw diet for dogs. And I guess part of it I heard is that you wouldn't be feeding as much raw as you would be kibble from what I'm getting, So
Right.
like if you're giving, and I might be wrong in terms of the measurement here, but if you're giving your dog 4 cups of dog food a day, or 3 cups a day, maybe that's better, then you probably give them a chicken leg quarter, a big chicken leg quarter, and that would be equivalent to the 3 cups.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So in that sense, if you're saying you got 7 chicken leg quarters, you paid $8 for them, but that's one dog.
Right.
You know what I
That's
mean?
what I was getting ready to
So
say. I would love. I want to hear them with this stuff for multiple dogs because they always
correct.
one dog, so
That's
make
right.
it make sense or make it efficient for an actual dog breeder who has multiple dogs. You know what I mean?
Correct. Because when I do the math, I'm like, man, that's going to be expensive. That's going to be more than I spend on, and maybe I got to sit down and do it a little more hard. But I've done it. I've sat down and done it. I'm like, man, that's just a little more expensive,
Right.
or a lot more expensive for me to do the meats. At least where I'm at. And you got some people that live by butchers and things, so it winds up being cheaper for them to do that, or they get the leftovers that the butcher has, and they got a little. Some of them get lucky where they have a butcher who gets rid of certain animal parts and things and such and doesn't need it, but those are all still things that are good and nutritional for dogs. So
Right.
they're able to get those things for free sometimes, you know what I mean? Right, free. And if they got a deep freezer, they get to save that, stockpile, boom. And I can see it being cheaper like that if it's convenient to you, you know what I mean? If it just happens to work out. So yeah, there's a potential of it being cheaper, I guess. But for me, where I live, I'm not readily by a butcher or anything like that. I'm not, meat doesn't necessarily go on sale like that per se. You know what I mean? Not that I've seen. To where it's affordable for me to feed not even just $8, but the $10 that I actually have. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just raw. You know what I mean? So, and then there's some dogs that just don't like it. Some people are like, oh, you could trade them. I'm like, I've tried to do that with some dogs, and I found something like, listen, I just don't want to eat it raw.
Right.
So there's some of them where I do have to cook it slightly or sear it, is what I should say, where it's still a little red inside, but I sear it and they eat it. So. But for the most part, I can give another good raw tip that I find. Another good raw tip if you are going to do raw. The most common raw that I found that dogs will eat without question is ground beef, raw ground beef. Just let it come to room temperature. So you let it come to room temperature. So in other words, you're going to feed in the afternoon. Maybe bring it out. You're feeding at 5 p.m. Maybe bring it out around noon or 1. So that way it comes to room temperature within those couple of hours, and then you mix that in with their kibble, or you just give them that like that. Yeah, most dogs will eat ground beef, no problem. You know what I mean? Raw.
Well, why room temperature? Why let it get to room temperature? What
Because some of them just don't like it. Because some of them just don't like it cold. You know what I mean? They don't like it like right out the fridge or right out the freezer or wherever you're coming from. They're right out the freezer. Obviously, they're probably not going to eat it that way. But you got some dogs that are just like it don't matter because they've been eating raw all their life. So coming out the fridge is all right with them. They're cool. But I found a lot of people that if you're going to try to transition, the best way to start transitioning from what I've from my research is always ground beef, because I found like any dog will eat ground beef. That's just that's kind of like if you're not cooking anything, whatever, that's probably one of the best ways to go. Plus, I found ground beef stacks a lot of good weight and muscle, especially if you're working out your dog and whatnot too. So you can go with the lean stuff. Personally, if you're going with a dog, you're trying to add weight, so I'd go with the more fatty stuff. You know what I mean? The more fatty, healthy stuff. Not necessarily something that's so lean, unless you're going for that look in terms of you got a dog pulling carts or something there. I don't know, in the dog Olympics or whatever. maybe that's the type of meat you want to go with. But I'm no expert in that field per se. But
Right.
what I found is when I do go raw, the easiest way to go raw with the dogs for me has always been with ground beef at room temperature.
Right.
So you do that, and even with the puppies eat that too. So I do put my puppies on raw as well. A lot of people ask, hey, do you put pups on raw? The pups that you're raising and weaning off mom on raw? Yeah, absolutely. I put them on raw, but I'm also giving them kibble because lo and behold, what if I'm feeding the dog raw and
they go
only
home.
feeding the dog raw, and they go home and the people don't want to feed them raw?
Right.
So my thing is, I found the healthy balance is feeding them a mix of in between both. You know what I'm saying? That way you have your option if you want to continue with just the raw diet. But guess what? The dog's used to eating raw. You want to just go kibble with a couple of other things inside your dog food. Hey, guess what? The dog's used to eating kibble. The puppies used to eating kibble. So either way you want to flow. And sometimes the dog will tell you too, like, hey, I'm not really into kibble. I like raw better. You know what I mean? Over time.
Right.
You'll know just by their habits. And what I mean by they'll tell you is they'll tell you by their behavior. Like, you notice that he's not really eating kibble when he's sopping up the raw around it. You know what I mean? Well, maybe that's a dog you probably want to go raw. You know what I mean? And introduce him to other things slowly. And then they got all kind of information online too in terms of the barf system and other things. So, things you can do research in. But me personally, that's how we do it. It's more like I would say it's more like a 70-30 kind of kibble versus raw.
Now, is this raw phase like a raw craze? I should put it in terms like
no,
something new, or
like
been going on for a long time? Because I never really heard about giving dogs raw food. It's always been kibble, 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 and then
and that absolutely. It's
like
I hear you. It's not. No, it's definitely not a new thing. I would say that raw's been going on for years, man. People have been feeding their dogs raw. I would say it's definitely in the last few years it's caught more. It's gotten more attention and more popularity. Because if you think about it, that's just the way dogs have naturally eaten before. So it's not really. But you're right. People look at it like it's weird, but it's like I've seen people like, "Yeah, you feed your dog raw?" I'm like, oh, that's how they were eating the wild, man. like that, dog. Like, when we say raw, not only raw, but they kill and eat it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I got a friend of mine who has he's got a Rottweiler, right? He doesn't necessarily eat raw all the time, but like he's got chicken, so he's careful when he because the Rottweiler will go out kill the chicken and then eat the chicken.
Oh wow!
Yeah, exactly.
So he got
dog. And this dog ain't a vicious dog or anything like that, but the dog recognizes the thing as food, man. You know what I mean? So the dog right there, they catch that chicken and eat it, boy. Like eat it over a period of time with the feathers and everything. So a lot of times they spit those feathers out. They pull them out and spit them out too. So I've heard and seen things like that. So he's really careful about letting the chickens out near the dog. You know what I mean? Or when the dog is out. Tries not to mix the two. He learned that it was like a one or two time lesson that he caught. Where one time it was by mistake, and the other time it was like he let the dog out, forgot to do it. So I guess both times were by mistake. The first time was a learning lesson. Like he didn't realize the dog was gonna do that. He thought he just chased him. Yeah. Nah, he caught one. Was like, oh, it's mine. What you gonna do? Take it from him? That's what he said. Oh, it's my tail. I don't take it from him. The dude's probably gonna be territorial with me. But the second time was a mistake. But that's how he learned about his habit. That he's like, oh man, this dog will kill the chicken and eat it.
Right. That's crazy, man.
Like, yeah, man, it's funny, man.
Yeah, I just know it's some people who feeding your dog kibble is like blasphemy, and it's like, but it's some good quality kibble out there that what I mean.
Correct. Correct. And that's I don't just get
dog.
Anything. Yeah, I hear you on that. I wouldn't just get anything. I didn't even finish that point. So at least for me, if you are going to feed kibble as well too, then I'm looking at the higher quality stuff, which sometimes can tend to be the more expensive stuff. But if we're still going back in relation to meat all the time compared to what I've done with some of the top kibbles out there, the top kibble is still a little less expensive for me. You know what I mean? So I would say that's what my dogs do, eat good top kibble. They eat good top kibble, and that's what we're feeding them. And then even now they're changing stuff. How there's a fad for everything. There's always a no, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Now I'm hearing how before you want to go grain free. Now they talk about how the grains are good for them.
Right.
Which I've kind of known that all my life. At least in terms of my dogs. So now they're going back on that. Now it's the same thing they do with humans. Like, you should eat eggs. You shouldn't eat eggs. You shouldn't eat eggs. You shouldn't eat it with the yolk. You should do this. You should do that. Information like that is ever evolving. You know what I mean? So it's like, Exactly. And I get it. So you just, to me, you kind of watch out, especially when you're looking for your pet's nutritional health. Just pay attention to what's going on with the masses and what information is being put out there. But
Right.
some of the information is proven by what you've been doing. My thing is, if somebody might come and tell you tomorrow eggs are bad, but if you've been doing it for 8 years and all your dogs are healthy, great, you got 15-year-old dogs that are doing great, this and that. Well, I'm saying, well, listen, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. You know
Right.
what I mean? Unless they put some kind of new something new they added to eggs that we don't know about, and they're telling you don't eat eggs now. But other than that, if it's not broke, why are you fixing it? And I
Right.
gotta say, eggs in terms of dogs have always been a good thing for me. I've never had a problem with it.
Man.
And I put it raw, completely raw. A lot of people ask, that's the other thing, raw. I just mix it right in with the food. Sometimes I throw a little warm water in there just to break up the yolk a little bit more. That way it becomes more like a gravy. Mix that
Yeah.
up first, then I put the food in there, mix all the food up, boom, got that going on. And that's it. The same thing with like oil. If you use olive oil, fish oil, stuff like that, you're not using a lot of it. And the other reason why you're not doing that regularly either, in terms of putting oil in your dog's food every day, is because if you give too much oil, and then on top of that, you're doing it every day, you can give your dogs the runs. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's been my personal experience. So that's why you hear me limited when I say, hey, 3 times a week, bro. You don't got to do it every day. They don't need all that every day. They wouldn't run into olive oil every day. They wouldn't run into fish oil every day if they
Right.
were in the wild. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind with anything you do. Would this be something they normally get every day? No. You know what I'm saying? It's a benefit to be a domesticated dog. So we give you some oil, and 3 times a week is suffice, I think.
Right. Now, how often do you feed
Maybe
the dogs?
I actually only feed once a day, depending on their age. That's a big thing for me. I start off with twice a day. Well, with the little puppies, of course, I feed them more when they're really tiny, the puppies. In terms of me weaning them off of mom, I might feed them 3 times a day, maybe 4 times a day. The puppies are going to tell me, you know what I mean? You're
Right.
going to pay attention to the puppies, and I feed them at different times. So that's why my schedule goes back to my the original question about what my day is like. If I have young puppies that I'm starting to wean off, well, my days will probably start a little earlier because I want to feed them early. So that way, if they're going to have an afternoon meal, it's kind of spaced out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then I have room for the afternoon meal, and then we have the evening meal or whatever. However you want to feed those pups. But you watch them too. These, the pups are scarfing everything down in a matter of minutes. But then maybe you're not giving them enough food. You know what I mean? So, but in terms of schedule for grown dogs, for the most part, we'll go from like a 4-month-old puppy to a year-old plus dog, right? So, a 4-month-old puppy up to about a year, I feed them twice a day,
Okay.
regularly. Okay, with a grown dog, I only feed them once a day, and what I mean by that is a full meal. So, perfect example: my dogs eat in the morning. When I go out for that evening cleaning and I go to clean in the evening, well, then they play, they have fun. Then I might give them all dog treats of some sort, whether it be some meat pieces or something like that I have. That would be, if you want to call that a second meal, or rather a snack. So that
Right.
would be their snack. So that's how I do it. So in the morning they get their regular meal. So let's say it's 3 cups of kibble plus whatever I'm putting in it. That's what they get in the morning. Then in the evening, which is somewhere around 6 or 7 p.m., or maybe between 6 and 8 p.m., depending on what time I get out there. That's when they'll all play, and then they get their treat, whether it be a milk bone or something like that. Some kind of meat piece or something like that. I might give them, for their treat, and that'll be that. That'll be, if you want to call that a meal, that'll be the second meal. But we know what? Let's scratch that. That won't even be a meal. It's a snack. It's just a little snack. You know what I mean? It's a little something I give them. Even that, I don't give them that. I don't give them a snack every day. I don't give them a treat every day. They usually get the one full meal. So any dog that's a year plus is getting one full meal a day. It's more than suffice. A lot of people think they need to feed their dogs 2 times a day. You don't have to do that, especially a large breed dog. Even our little dog is on that same schedule where she eats once a day. Now I give them water throughout the day. They have water, but my dogs are kenneled at the same time, so it's really based on your availability.
Right.
My dogs are kenneled, so if they have, what I mean is they have water available to them all day, and even though they have the water available to all day, it doesn't mean they're sopping water all day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you keep your dog in the house regularly, then that's another thing too as well, where your dog's not, unless your dog is really super potty trained and house trained, crate trained, whatever you want to do, then you're not going to leave water available for them all day in the house. It's just a different beast. Or you're probably going to have a lot of frequent accidents. You know what I mean?
Right.
Until they're capable of that. Like I could do that with Django. Django have water out all day, the dog is just he's a grown, super conditioned, well-behaved dog, so he'll wait for you to put him out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if you leave food out there. But for the most part, that's how I do it. I think a lot of people misconception that they think they got to feed the dog in the morning and the afternoon. But when you have a grown dog that's past a year old, in the wild, they wouldn't eat twice a day.
Right.
You know what I mean? They lucky if they eat every day in the wild. They wouldn't eat every day in the wild, let alone 2-3 times a day, regularly. That makes no sense, especially if you're any kind of working person, you're working outside of your home, then it's not realistic that you're feeding the dog 3 times a day. It makes no sense. Unless you have it like that and you work at home or you work close to home where when you go on lunch, you could do that. But that's a whole nother beast in itself in terms of trying to fit your whole lunch schedule for your dog, and you're going to eat 2. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's got to be feasible, man. But I got to tell you, once the dog hits a year old, man, I go into the one meal a day mode, and it's pretty much. And when I mean by 1 meal a day, let's say you're feeding your dog twice a day, and you're feeding your dog just for easy math, you're feeding your dog 4 cups a day, 2 cups in the morning, 2 cups in the evening. Well, when you transition to the 1 meal a day, you're still giving them the 4 cups. You're just going to give them all 4 cups in the evening or all 4 cups in the morning.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you break up the amount that he's supposed to get. It just means that, hey, we're going to put it all in 1 meal in the morning or all in 1 meal in the evening. That's how it works. So you don't cut the food. You're just cutting how many times you give it to him.
Bottom line, just pay attention to your dog, man. I mean, because
pay attention to the dogs. But everybody's gonna have their own schedule. Really, feeding your dog goes by your schedule. That's really what it comes down to, man. I'm telling you what A9 does. You know what I mean? Yeah. And probably some other breeders probably do it the same way too. But I'm telling you what A9 does. That's the way we do it. You know what I mean? In terms of how we feed the dogs. We feed them that way because that's what adheres to my schedule. That's what works for us. That's what lets us function normally. You know what I mean? Yeah. So and it doesn't hurt or kill the dogs. That's the other thing too. And they have water available to them all day for all my PETA people who probably try to come at. They have water available to them all day. They're checked on daily. Make sure they're on point. They're healthy, and nobody's malnutrition. And you see all my dogs almost look fat. So, there's nothing wrong with feeding your dog once a day. If you want to adapt to that, the dog can adapt to it, no problem. A lot of times it's the human that's acting up like, oh man, I think he's going to be hungry. Listen, bro, dogs are always hungry.
Right.
Okay. If you got dogs like we got dogs, especially big dogs are always hungry. Yeah, I could pull out something off the floor right now. Django could have ate something not 5 minutes ago. He could have ate his full 4-cup meal or whatever he's eating, you know what I mean? And I pull out a piece of meat. He's going to want that too. Not 5 minutes after he ate.
Right. Bruno's the same exact way, man.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Bruno knows when it's time to eat, he's running to his cage like, hurry up.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. And that's another thing, too. It does develop a structure, too, because they know what time it is, you know what I mean? It's another way to cheat. I call it cheat training, when they realize something's going on and you got control of them, you know what I mean? At this point now, you can cheat train them a little bit, get them to adapt to a situation and whatnot. All these girls know how to adapt. I'm going to put a video out one day to show people, because a lot of people see big dogs and they might see kennel dogs and they think, oh man, dogs don't, you got all these dogs running around, this and that. Every one of them dogs is trained back there in terms of behavior. They all have behavioral training. And I'll put out the video one day so you can see all the dogs wait to be told to eat. None of them goes for their bowl. So literally, as I'm going down the 7 kennels, and Django lives inside, so he eats inside. But as I'm going down the 7 kennels for the 7 girls, you'll see. We're gonna put a video out for you guys so you guys can see it happen, and it is possible. That literally every bowl I put in that house, everyone waits until the last person gets their meal. Not only until the last person gets their meal, but until I tell them that they can eat. Literally. Every single one said, I'm going to put that Corey out for you. Watch that be the next fire video that I put on the page.
They're going to love that, man. They probably don't believe you saying that right now.
Nobody believe me when I tell them. I'm like, man, my wife and kids have witnessed it hundreds of times. You know what I'm saying? Every dog, we even got it with the little dog does that as well. You know what I mean? But it's all about, it's all about training, a little behavior training, man. This isn't hardcore stuff to do. This is about embedding in the dog what's acceptable and what's not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play that stuff, dogs jumping on me when I'm bringing food. I don't play that. Even sniffing, I don't like it. That's just me. It's a maybe that's the military in me. It's a sense of non-control, if you ask me. So where the dog is not being is not behaving the best. That's just for me. Yeah, you can do it. Everybody can do what they want with their dogs, but I'm saying for me, I don't like dogs doing 20 circles around me and whatever. No, I like a dog to sit, chill, relax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wait for your food. And so if you see that I like that, then you know absolutely there's no way a dog is jumping in my face when I got a food bowl. Absolutely, especially a large breed dog. You better get out. No, not acceptable. That's just me. Not acceptable. I don't let any dog jump at me while I'm bringing food or whatever. That's just something since I was a kid, I've been doing that. Since I got my first Rottweiler, I've been doing that since you're talking about 1995, 94.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a 14-year-old kid, you know what I mean? That I never allowed that. I never allowed my Roddy puppy to do that. I never let it do it. I just thought it was such to me, such a bad thing, for lack of better words. You know, such a bad thing is just misbehaving to me. So you can't jump up at me. You can't do that. So I conditioned this a long time, and I learned it from her, from doing it with her. And the fact that she could behave herself and wait to be told to eat, not only just wait for me to put it down, you know? So it says to me that wasn't good enough. And so all my standards are based off my first Roddy, Sasha, that she was capable of doing it, that I started doing with other dogs, and other dogs were capable of doing it. And then now I got a fleet of dogs, and all of them do it at once. You know what I mean? So literally, Corey, I go down the kennel, I put the food in the kennel, close that kennel. That dog is sitting back there waiting. Second kennel, third, fourth, so on. They're all sitting and waiting for the command. Kind of like the video I did that I put up a few weeks back where you see the little puppy, the one that's going to the Cayman, right? The one that's going to the islands. And I was doing her in the kitchen, right? That's a puppy. But you see how I condition that into her, right? All of them do the same exact thing outside. All those large dogs, they all wait at the same time to be told to eat. You know, some people might say, "Oh, you're a control freak." No, I just like order.
Right. That's
I just like
good representation on you as a pet owner for your dog being disciplined like that, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they like to have fun. They like to jump around. My dogs are just as crazy as everybody else's dogs. They like to have fun, but there's a time and place.
Right.
And I think especially when you have large breed dogs, you do have to have a hold over them. Any dog that's a powerful, capable dog, you have to have a hold over them, that almost mesmerizing hold where they respect you as the hierarchy. You know, you're basically like Cesar Millan likes to say, you know, you're the leader of your pack. You got to be the leader of the pack, man. You know.
Now, Dave, if people had any questions or wanted you to elaborate more on anything we talked about, how could they get in contact with you?
Man, all you got to do is hit me up. You can hit me up via email at a9rottweilers at gmail.com. You can hit me up with questions there. Another place I answer questions on is you could PM me on the A9 on either A9 Rottweiler page, whether it be on Instagram or on Facebook. You can hit me up there. And then I have a telephone number too. You could text me there as well. The telephone number is 386-866-0617. That's the A9 Rottweiler's telephone number. You just text message me there. You know, one thing I've noticed with people nowadays, man, I'll say, I guess because I grew up in a little bit of a different era, I sound like an old ass dude, not yet, but is that it's like, hey, introduce yourself, people. I don't know who you are. Right. Hello, how you doing? A lot of people see they think their profile speaks volumes of who they are, because some of these people's profiles got a crazy funky name on it or something. You know what I mean? Like my name is not A9 Rottweilers. My name is David. You know what I mean? You know, so I don't go to a person and say, hey, how you living? Not even how you living. Sometimes they don't ask me how I'm doing. They just say, hey, how much your puppies are, this and that. And I get it. That's just how some folks talk nowadays. They think the cage done told them who you are. But, you know, it's appreciated if you come, hello, how you doing? My name is such and such. I'm looking for this information. I'm looking for that. Can you answer that? So that's why I was saying, you know what I mean? That's what my mama and dad taught me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? To introduce yourself to people and whatever the case may be, regardless of what platform you're on. But honestly, I'm available at all those platforms, man. You can also check out information about our dogs on our breeding programs at www.a9, that's the letter A, the number 9, Rottweilers with an S.com. And it's not Rottweiler, so don't spell it that way. You're not going to get the results you're looking for.
Right. Amen.
You know, so that's really the place you can reach me at, man. And, you know, I'm definitely willing to answer questions and talk to people. I like to help people and whatnot. Like I was telling Corey recently that, you know, we're definitely getting into consulting now and whatnot. So if you want like more personal one-on-one time with more intricate questions and things as such, then I'm definitely providing services for that. Where, because the thing is, you know, definitely a busy person, especially with the kennels and kids and things as such. I get super, super, super busy. So I definitely have to kind of be compensated for the time that I spend in terms of, really going to hardcore information about how to get your kennel on point.
Right.
So, it's just one of those things. But I definitely like sharing. I probably give more things away for free in terms of information than I would charge you for. That's the thing. You know what I mean? But it's getting to the point now where it gets a bit overwhelming to where I'm like, man, I can't, sometimes I'm on the phone with one person for like 2 hours. You know what I mean? And that was free of charge, but I hadn't got my work done. I hadn't got nothing done. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things that, I don't mean to sound how you say that. I just think I'm providing the service. So, a little 10 here or something like that for a half an hour, $10 for a half an hour or something like that for you to get. And you know how much information you can get from me in a half an hour?
Right.
So 10 would be worth it. Let's put it that way. If that was the price, let's put it that way.
That's an investment, man, because that could stick with you for the rest of your life, man.
Heck yeah, man. And absolutely. And you got a notepad on the other end and you just milking information out of somebody who's been doing it for a while, and has got a lot of experience. And I don't know everything. You know what I mean? I don't know everything. My thing is I like to learn. So
right.
That's how I get a lot of my life. I like to learn. I'm always looking for the newest information pertaining to dogs, not just Rottweilers, but to dogs in general. You know what I mean? Whatever can benefit. So a lot of people, you don't have to own a Rottweiler to contact me about your breeding program or how you're trying to get started and whatnot. If you understand animals and dogs in general, then anybody who has that kind of knowledge should be able to pass on something useful to you in any breeding program, related to dogs anyway.
Right, man.
Hey,
brother, like always, man, your time and your words are definitely appreciated, man. I definitely appreciate you for stopping by again. We're gonna wrap it up right here at this point, because if they got any more questions at this point, they can hit you up and they can consult with you on the
absolutely. And then over here on the platform, we'll hit them up on your platform. We'll hit them up with some more knowledge and stuff, man. I don't mind telling stuff because honestly, it was knowledge that was shared with me as well.
Right.
So I definitely like sharing knowledge and things and such, but we gotta, we definitely have to share with other people who want to be breeders and potential breeders and who want to flourish in the game, and they want to learn as much as they can to kind of basically better the breed, for lack of better words. You know what I mean? So I definitely don't mind sharing and giving that stuff. But once I start getting to the one-on-one time and things like that, man, yeah, absolutely, I'm more than willing to do that. At a fee, of course.
Man, we definitely appreciate you and your knowledge.
Absolutely, man. Thanks. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you having me on again, and we could do it again for sure, whenever.
Yes, for sure, man. Well, y'all continue to stay safe out there, man.
All right, man. Take care, baby. We'll be here, and then make sure you take care of the family, that baby girl, and whatnot. And we'll talk soon, Corey.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Be safe, man. Take you later.
Peace.